Well, hello everyone. My name is Zachary O'Shea, and this is Box of Teeth. I have another horror-themed monster for Dungeons & Dragons for all of you right now, linked to the universal antagonist that we've been working on. First off, a quick apology. There hasn't been much content here over the last couple of weeks. I've had family visiting, and real life always takes precedent over virtual life, as it were, at least for me. In March, we were covering La Contessa, and I want to sew up her and her minions first before moving on. As a quick reminder, La Contessa is an amalgamation of Count Dracula and Van Helsing rolled into one. She was a noblewoman whose family and country were ruined by vampires, and she decided to hunt them. She's also an alchemical genius, which means she's used black science to transform herself into a unique kind of undead abomination, so she can continue to hunt her favored prey, as well as other sentient undead. She covers a couple of different horror genres, that being scientific horror, gothic horror, and vampire horror. So let's go ahead and cover one of our minions today, which is the Inquisitor Gibbet. This crude execution tool is crafted from rune-forged iron and has a bell-like shape. Within the cage sits the withered corpse of a vampire that has been drawn and quartered. Its head is nailed into place at the top of the gibbet with its eyelids removed. While most of the times the Inquisitor Gibbet sways from a post or a tree limb, it is perfectly capable of floating on its own arcane power. Its chains whip about, the runes of each link blazing with radiant energy. At the same time, the severed head screams in intelligible agony. The reason for this is at some point, La Contessa decided she didn't want to merely destroy vampires and other sentient undead. She wanted them to suffer. After all, every last crypt thing, graveyard fiend, and ruin haunt had claimed so many mortal lives over their existence, even if it was accidental, that it didn't seem right that they just got to rest once she was done with them. However, the inventor found it was very, very difficult for her to keep vampires trapped and alive and suffering. That was until she figured out a way to keep a vampire head alive while experimenting on how to extend her own life. Now she had a power source, but she wasn't quite sure how to use it. Its psychic agony was something she knew she could capitalize on. Eventually, she figured out how to harness it to the rest of its destroyed corpse, put it into the gibbet, and this became a potent weapon in her crusade against vampires and their like. It's also a really great tool to use against the mortal murderers that vampires often employ, their little minions and the like. She usually deploys these grim decorations in an area where she is active, so they might deal with anyone with blood on their hands or who wants to interfere with her righteous quest, which can sometimes be, of course, player characters. That being said, let's take a look at the Inquisitor Gibbet statistics for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. The Inquisitor Gibbet is a challenge rating 6 large construct that is lawful neutral because it enforces the laws. It has a pretty decent number of hit points, but a really low armor class. Really, it has damage resistance and damage immunities, primarily to non-magic weapons that are not adamantine, as well as necrotic and poison, and a lot of condition immunities you would expect a construct to have. On top of that, it has false appearance, so it just appears to be a gibbet until it is active and actually takes actions. It has immutable form, so it can't be changed into something else. It has innate spellcasting with Sacred Flame, Toll the Dead, Detect Evil and Good, Guiding Bolt, and Detect Thoughts. Magic resistance, and magic weapons. It has Sense, which can be dangerous for any sort of murder hobos. It can sense the presence and exact location of any creature that has taken a sapient life within the last 24 hours that is within 60 feet in front of it. And it really does not like those kind of creatures. It does have multi-attack for its Sin-Searing Chains, which is a 15-foot reach attack with chains, as one might expect, that does some bludgeoning damage, but then it does 2 additional radiant damage for each sapient life that creature has taken within the last 24 hours, which again can be very dangerous for murder hobos. On top of that, it does have Slam attack, so it can smash itself into someone, and if it doesn't currently have a creature within it, the gibbet can go ahead and suck them in to its gibbet form, slam the door shut, and now they're grappled. All in all, it can be a dangerous and interesting creature, especially if you have player characters that are not quite very strict about the laws and like to stab people to get through their problems, because again, it's lawful and it doesn't like that. I'd love to hear how you would use them in your own campaigns. Of course, you can find La Contessa, all of her minions, and hundreds of other horror-themed monsters, all for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition at boxofteeth.blogspot.com. If you're more interested in the non-Dungeons & Dragons horror-related projects that I have, or the horror fiction that I write that includes grease paint right here. Getting closer and closer to the reveal of book 2 as well. You can always go to www.zacharyoshea.com. Again, I'm sorry I've been away for a while, but I really appreciate your time and your attention, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.